creepy and cool TikToks that will blow your mind. Are you ready? Are you ready? Let's go!
Disclaimer: this video is for entertainment purposes only. Please do your own research, as these clips haven't been fact-checked.
It's a cuttlefish mimicking a human face. I've heard this theory that like cephalopods are aliens, and I kind of believe it now, but that's some predator shit. That's not okay, and that's a real life thing that lives in the water that people are by.
If that scares you, don't look up Humboldt squid.
Jesus, whatever is in this house, to leave. O glorious Archangel St. Michael, Prince of the heavenly horse, be our defence in the terrible warfare which we carry on against principalities, powers, against the rulers of this world, darkness, spirits of evil. Come to the aid of man, God created, immortal, made in his own image and likeness, and redeemed at a great price. The tyranny, the devil, together with the holy angels, has already thou has fought, leader of the proud angels, Lucifer, who were powerless to resist thee, nor was the place for them any longer in heaven. That cruel ancient serpent who is called the devil, or Satan, who seduces the whole world, was cast into the abyss in Hades. Behold, this grand evil enemy is slain, and is taken courage, transformed into an angel of light. He wanders about without magnitude, spirits made in the earth in order to obtain blot out the name of God, to seize upon and cast into eternal disheard souls destined for the crown of eternal glory. In the name of Jesus, whatever is in this house, to leave. Amen.
In the name of Jesus, we say, Amen.
If we hear about ancient Greece and ancient Rome, then why do we never hear about ancient Persia? Especially if it existed in the same region and time period as the other two civilizations. And it was larger than Rome, controlled 40% of the world's population, and contributed more to science and mathematics than Rome did, but still gets left out of the history books. Well, there are two major Western biases for why we don't hear about it in American school books much. The first bias is just that ancient Persia is modern-day Iran, while ancient Greece and Rome are romanticized as the founders of democracy, American values, and Western values. And the second bias, which is sort of related, is that we mostly just let the ancient Greeks tell us about what Persia was like. But the ancient Greeks were Persia's rival, so of course the Greeks were going to write about how evil and aggressive the Persians were. And it's why we learn a lot more about Alexander the Great conquering Persia than we do about Persia itself. And it's why the most popular movie ever made about Persia in the West is about 300 ultra-masculine Greeks fighting the entire Persian army. But if you look at non-Greek sources, they talk about Persia a lot more positively, where you could actually see Greece being the bad guy and Persia being the good guy. For example, Persia had very little slaves for the time and actually paid their workers for state projects, whereas almost every single thing in ancient Greece was built using slaves, which really isn't an exaggeration. And it's why famous Greek philosophers such as Aristotle and Plato could afford to just spend all day sitting and thinking in the first place. Not only that, but if you look at the way they treated the ethnic groups they conquered, sure, you could say it wasn't right for either of them to conquer and build an empire in the first place, but this is the ancient world. And compared to other ancient empires, the Persians were remarkably humane and tolerant for the time, and historians regard it as the world's first multi-ethnic empire that was peaceful, fair, and prosperous. Whereas the Greeks kind of just treated conquered people like colonies who were inferior. And when it came to women, Persia was again remarkably progressive for its time, as it let women own property, set up businesses, and serve in leadership roles, where one of the wealthiest merchants in Persia was a woman, while Greek philosophers like Aristotle would write about how women are inferior by nature and lacked the rational capacity to rule. And women weren't considered legal people who could sign any form of contract according to Athenian law. Unfortunately, despite how tolerant Persia was, almost none of it gets talked about, which is why I wanted to make a video on it. And sadly, there could actually be a lot more civilizations like this than we think, which we'll never hear about simply because the victors write the history books. For example, we hear all about ancient Rome's accomplishments. But we hear much less about the accomplishments from ancient Rome's rival in North Africa, Carthage. And it's because Carthage lost. So the Romans burned almost every single text from Carthage. And almost everything we know about Carthage today comes from Roman writing, which had a lot of propaganda. So the Carthaginian writing on what really happened in their own civilization's history is now lost forever. And Carthage now is simply modern-day Tunisia, where few people today know that it was once as advanced as Rome. Yet if a few battles went a little bit differently, it could be ancient Rome that we never hear about. So despite all the bias against Persia, things could have been way worse, since Persia did also get most of its own writings burned by Alexander the Great. But we still have some other sources to tell us about Persia today because Persia was just so massive. It controlled 40% of the world's population, so it just wasn't possible to burn every single positive source about Persia around the world. Whereas Carthage wasn't as lucky. See, that's kind of the sad thing about ancient history. If you aren't as massive as Persia, and you're on the losing side, and the victors burn your books so they can rewrite the history books themselves, then a lot of knowledge about your civilization is now lost forever. Humanity will never be able to recover it, it's just impossible. Meaning there could be a lot of other great, thriving civilizations from the past which we will simply never know about.
You know, a lot of what we know about history is propaganda.
This Punjabi guy right here, he paid $65,000 just to marry this girl and send her to Canada. The deal was simple. She goes first as a student, studies, and then invites him later. She reached Canada, started studying. Everything looked good. After some time, she invited him. They moved to Winnipeg together. He started working full-time. She was part-time while studying. Life looked perfect. Until one day, she met another guy at Walmart, the place she was working.
Man.
That guy was a permanent resident, so she's decided to leave him to marry this other guy to get her PR. Soon after, she sent an email to immigration saying she wanted a divorce. Within weeks, his visa got rejected. He then went to Abbotsford, BC, for a desperation to stay in Canada, where he met this man who promised him an LMIA, a job offer for $15,000. He thought, maybe this time his luck will change. In total, he lost $80,000. First,
Wow.
his wife used him. Then the system scammed him. And that's the reality. The desperation to stay in Canada. Some people end up doing things others can't even imagine. It's crazy what this dream can make people do.
Wow, poor guy. But you know, investments are subject to market risk. Next time, invest only on yourself.
The song you're about to hear is the voice of this woman, recorded almost 100 years ago on a bulky machine powered by a truck engine. The language in this song is thousands of years old, and many people at the time of this recording dismissed this language as poor English. But there was one man, one linguist, who did not believe this, and him deciding to record this song not only changed a family's life, but everything we know about languages. We got to take it back to 1928 to a linguist named Lorenzo Dow Turner. He was teaching at a college in South Carolina when there was two college students that walked past him speaking a language that he did not understand. When he asked other people about it, they just dismissed it and said that they were speaking poor English, but he knew that didn't make no sense. For the years through his research, he found that this language uses over 3,000 African words from 31 distinct languages. And fast forward to 1933, he decided to go to Sapelo Island in Georgia. The recording device that he brought along with him was so heavy that it had to be powered by a truck engine, but he was able to capture voices, stories, and a song sung by Amelia Dolly. For 50 years, that song recording sat in the archives and was almost forgotten until 1989, when a historian named Joseph Opala was doing research on the Gullah people and their deep connections to Sierra Leone. So in 1989, Joseph Opala had organized the first Gullah homecoming, bringing Gullah leaders to Sierra Leone, specifically Bunce Island, where enslaved Africans were shipped out during slavery. Gullah homecoming went great, and Joseph thought he was done with his work until the end, when the people from Sierra Leone asked him if he could identify a specific family whose ancestors came from Sierra Leone, and Joseph was like, that's virtually impossible. Then he found that recording from 1933 of Amelia Dolly singing that song. He decided to fly to Sierra Leone and go from village to village asking anyone if they've ever heard of this song or these words. Joseph and his team, consisting of an ethnomusicologist and a linguist went through their entire list of villages with no success until they got to the last village on the list. They get to the village, play the song, and a woman starts singing along. She says, "My grandmother taught me this song. This is the oldest song we know."
As I began to play the recording, to my astonishment, these women began to sing along.
He was so excited he flew right back to the United States, straight to Georgia, to look for the children of Amelia Dolly, the woman who sang that song, and he found 69-year-old Mary Moran, her daughter. Joseph and his team shared all of the information that they found with Mary, and Mary shared her family history as well. And of course, she did not forget that song and sang it to them.
And it had a little beat to it. And I thought it was something to dance by, and I would dance by the song, not knowing it was a funeral hymn, until I went to Sierra Leone, Africa, and learned that it was a funeral hymn. But when I was a little girl around 9 and 10, I would dance by it. But now I learned better since I knew it was a funeral. For it then, all she said, her grandmother told her it was an African song. I lily, Kwambe, I walk among a Kambali lily.
What?
Quaint. Has to really go see how you quender you. Has to really go dwell in the quaint. Has to really go see how you bungle.
Because Lorenzo Dow Turner refused to believe that the Gullah language was bad English, more than 60 years later, a Georgia family was able to use that 5-sentence song to reconnect to the exact village where their ancestors came from in Sierra Leone, showing once again how deep history and language are connected. I hope you learned something new.
How did people mistake this for, any form of English?
Have you seen this video?
October 30th, 2025, 6.2 billion people are going to experience a cosmic consciousness shift simultaneously, and I can prove it with simple math.
This video sparked hours of rabbit holing for me. In this video, the creator made very bold claims, and he does an excellent job with the mathematics. And after many hours of digging, here's what I found. A rare cosmic alignment is building right now. 3 astronomical events, all happening on or around October 30th. And when you look beyond the mainstream science, you realize how profound this is energetically. First, we have 3I Atlas, an interstellar comet coming into our solar system from the beyond. This has only happened, this will be the 3rd time. Whatever it is literally carrying atomic information from another solar system into our solar resonance. In ancient symbolism, a comet was a messenger, a herald of new eras, bringing codes from the cosmic beyond into the solar heart, because our solar system, Earth, is the heart. Number 2, we have the sun reaching its solar maximum, its highest peak. This will bring solar flares, plasma bursts, and a high-frequency radiation surge across the heliosphere. From the mystical perspective, the sun represents consciousness, source consciousness, illumination, awakening. When it reaches its maximum intensity, it's like the central light of creation cranks up the voltage, sending a massive pulse through our collective field. And third, the Earth's magnetic field is at its weakest, literally the weakest it's been in history. You've heard the spiritualists say the veil is thinning. The magnetic field is our planetary shield. It protects us from solar radiation, but it also serves as an energetic boundary. What does that sound like? It's a buffer between the physical and the beyond. So as it weakens, cosmic information, solar plasma, and even consciousness frequencies can move more easily through. So all 3 of these are happening at once. This creates what some call a resonance window, a time when the Schumann resonance, the Earth's heartbeat, the electromagnetic heartbeat, is amplified. At its normal 7.8 around hertz, it's the perfect rhythm for the human brain in the alpha and theta states, frequencies of calm, meditation. But if it's amplified, even by a few multiples, it could entrain human consciousness into higher harmonies, closer to gamma frequencies, the brainwave state tied to unity consciousness, expanded awareness, even spontaneous healing or spontaneous psychic abilities. And while science may not have the language for this yet, Consciousness mathematics has long suggested that when enough individuals reach coherence, even a small percentage, it creates what's called a field effect. The creator that made the original video I showed in the beginning said you only need the square root of 1% to create measurable global change. But that's because it's not even about the number itself. It's about the principle. Coherence is exponential. It multiplies. So even if a small group vibrates in these harmonies, these higher frequencies, their resonance ripples outward and can organize chaos. So when this happens, literally billions of humans, each acting as tiny antennas, a part of our electromagnetic field, begin syncing to this higher vibration, we could definitely see a spontaneous wave of awakening. This could bring flashes of clarity, rapid emotional purging, psychic openings, and collective truth surfacing. So hear me when I say it's not a doomsday, it's an attunement. The cosmos are mirroring our evolution, our awakening back to us. So if you're like me and you're still here, now the question becomes, how do we align our bodies, minds, and spirits to attune and integrate gracefully and to have the most profound effect on the entire world? I'm going to dive into all of that and more in part 2. So if you're here and you're feeling this, tell me in the comments. Write, we are ready to align with the shift. And I'll see you in part 2.
Who else hasn't been sleeping so well as of late?
Some guy got tricked into doing a gender change.
I heard about
you
this.
You did? Two guys in India. They were like confessing feelings for each other on the bench, and one guy was like, "Oh no, brother, I don't roll like that. Like we can just be friends." The other guy, he tells the guy, "Oh, you have something medically wrong with you. Let's go get checked up." The guy goes get checked up. They sedate him. God, I don't know if you've seen the video of the actual guy waking up.
I didn't see the video.
The blanket, obviously his guy are gone. It's now woman's.
Oh my god,
so
that's actually messed up.
Remove the blanket. In the video, he's crying.
Oh my god,
what the f is going on? Like, what did I agree to? The guy that set this up comes in with flowers and says, "We can like be a relationship now." Oh my god,
crazy.
yeah. Will you marry me?
That's messed up.
That's forced.
Is he okay?
Fam, all I know is that the guy got sued because he found out after that while he was passed out, the friend SA'd him.
Oh, that.
I wouldn't even wish this to my worst enemy.
Okay, so this kind of makes me want to get a thermal camera. Wait until you see what this guy detects on his freaking imaging system here, which by the way is a pretty penny. I mean, you can't just pick these up on freaking Amazon.
Yeah,
check this out.
Looking through a thermal under white hot. There's a truck. You can zoom in on the truck. Let's get our focus.
Nice truck.
Okay, that truck is about 150 yards away. Okay. That's the moon, and we're just gonna start scanning the sky because there's a lot of shit going on that you can't see with the naked eye that I cannot explain. They're not bugs, they're not bats. Here. That's what a plane looks like, okay? And there's something next to the plane. I don't know what it is, okay? There goes a shooting star, I think. But you catch my drift? That's out in front of the plane. And I don't know what it is. It's like the plane's following it. Not a satellite. They're all over the place. Can't see them with the naked eye. No idea what they are. They're freaking. See that one just turned? Just turned. They're not bats. They're everywhere.
The reason he said it's not bats, it's not bugs, or satellites, is because satellites, it's not a thermal camera that you can see them with. You can see them with your own eye. It looks like a light floating through the sky. Saying you can't see this stuff without the thermal. So, and I will say the two UFO experiences I had, I'm not saying it was aliens. I mean, it could have been government, it could have been military, it could have been Project Bluebeam. But what I saw was something similar to that, except I could see it with the naked eye, which was a shot. We're sitting up there, looking into the sky, pitch black at night, and all you see is zoom, zoom. It starts booming around, this thing jumping vast distances in the sky. And then we were watching it for like 5 minutes, and all of a sudden it went zoom, straight up into, up, okay, wherever up is. And when it did its final zoom away, a flash of light emanated on it. It was the strangest thing. And of course, what's the explanation for that? It was a weather balloon that was attached to a, I mean, who knows? But something is going on up there that they are not telling us. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below and follow for more.
You can buy thermals that attach to your phone. Pretty cheap.
If you watch porn or used to masturbate a lot, you absolutely need to consume these 3 super ingredients to get your full potential back. Otherwise, your wife might go looking for someone else.
What?
I'm giving you this info for free, even though I usually charge $1,000 per session. The first is magnesium. It boosts energy, regulates inflammation, and improves both physical and mental performance. If you constantly feel tired or suffer from joint pain, that's a clear sign your body needs it.
This feels like AI.
B vitamins help reduce stress and improve focus. If you've been feeling irritable or unmotivated lately, that's probably why. The third and final super ingredient is more powerful than magnesium and B vitamins combined. So if you only consume one, this should be it. This powerful food is beetroot. It targets the natural decline in nitric oxide as you age and restores it to healthy levels. Beetroot improves circulation and endurance, giving you more energy and vitality. You'll feel stronger and more resilient throughout the day. It also helps regulate cortisol and improve blood flow. Believe me, you won't find this many benefits in any other ingredient. The beetroot I recommend comes from a trusted US brand called Boravia.
There you go.
Their beetroot is of the highest quality and as natural as it gets. If you're interested, I've put the link in my profile.
Beetroot.
Let's do game theory. Game theory is just a study of how to win games, okay? It's a very general thing. Let's do a thought experiment and just say there's about 1 million people in the world, okay? There's 1 million people in the world all trying to win the game against each other, but only one can win. According to game theory, the best way to win a game is by, does anyone know?
Cheating.
Cheating, okay? If you follow the rules, you will never win the game. You have to cheat. And in this game, the best way to win is by coordinating with other people, right? Because everyone's playing by himself. So if you can work with other people, then that gives you a huge advantage over everyone else, right? The problem with this is the moment that people start coordinating, it forces an arms race of coordination. So maybe these 2 are working together. These 4 now are forced to work together, which now forces these 5 to work together. If you are the first to work together, you get screwed in the process. So if you cheat, you have to cheat secretly. You have to coordinate without people knowing you're actually coordinating together. You have to conspire secretly. And there are different ways to collaborate secretly, okay? So let's look at examples. So family is one example, right? Another example is religion. If you have a leader, if you have a similar race, ethnicity, you have a similar language. Okay, so these are examples of how you get people to coordinate together. The problem is that these are all obvious to people, which forces them to do the same thing. But there's a strategy that you can use that allows you to coordinate secretly and defeat all your enemies. And this strategy is called transgression. Transgression. The breaking of taboos, the breaking of social norms, the breaking of social laws. Okay, so let's study this concept. The theory is that the greater you transgress, okay, this is the level of transgression, the greater your cohesion, which leads to synchronicity. Okay, that's a theory I want to propose to you.
Guys, watch the entire series on this. It's very powerful.
For 2,000 years, an entire village in China used what they thought were bottomless ponds. They were wrong. What lay beneath would rewrite everything we know about ancient civilizations. In the early morning of June 18th, 1992, a man named Wu Anai was staring into the dark water of his local pond. But this wasn't just any pond. It was actually one of 5. These rectangular bodies of water had existed in Wu Anai's village of Cheyenne Beikun for as long as anyone could remember. And at that time, these ponds had proven to be something of a mystery to everyone in town. The children had been warned away from them since before his grandfather's time, though the warnings never explained exactly why. Adults would just shake their heads and change the subject when asked about it. Wu and I had tried plenty of times as a boy, but nobody ever gave him a straight answer. Because these ponds scattered throughout this small farming community in Zhejiang province in China were locally famous for being bottomless. No matter how hard they tried, no one had ever managed to determine just how deep they went. These ponds became a source of both practical use and persistent mystery for generations. Wu had lived in Xi'an-Beicun his entire life, and like everybody else there, he had grown up fishing and collecting water from them. But also, like everyone else, he had always wondered just how deep they really were. He was going to find out what was at the bottom. From time to time, curious villagers would take out these long bamboo poles and probe as deep as they could to try and measure the depth, but they never could. They would just push the poles down until the entire length disappeared beneath the surface, yet they never felt the poles hit the bottom, and the ends always came up clean.
This man is named Larry Silverstein, and he is both the dumbest and the luckiest businessman in the world. He's the stupidest businessman in the world because 6 weeks before 9/11, he buys the lease to the World Trade Center. Okay? Why is that stupid? Because the World Trade Center has asbestos, like a dangerous chemical. So they had to clean or remove the asbestos. The problem is the cost of removing all that asbestos would have been more than the value of the Twin Towers. That's kind of stupid, okay? Why would you lease the Twin Towers knowing that you have to put all this money into renovation, which would bankrupt you? Also, what's stupid is to have the lease, you're required to have insurance, okay? And so the insurance company says, we value the World Trade Center at $1.5 billion, okay? And Larry Silverstein says, no, it's not $1.5 billion. They are worth $3.5 billion. So he is asking to pay more insurance than he needed to. That's kind of stupid. But again, he's the luckiest man in the world because 9/11 happened, and guess what?
9/11.
He can now claim that 2 towers were struck, and therefore he should get twice as much as 3.55 million. He should get 7 billion. And he sued, they went to court, and he got 4.55 billion. Okay? He's also lucky because he's a workaholic, he never misses work, but that day, because of a dermatology appointment, he had to miss work. He wasn't there when 9/11 happened. The luckiest man in the world.
Meaning, he knew about 9/11 coming.
So the first thing you need to understand about secret societies is that there are different layers to secret society, okay? So in Scottish Rite Freemasonry,
By the way, I love this guy.
there are 33 grades. 33 grades. So you start at 1 and then you slowly climb, okay? Some people can skip. And at each different grade, you're taught different secrets or understanding of the world. So maybe here, you have 4 grades, okay? In the bottom grade, all you're taught is just to be a good person, to do good works, to do charity, to be kind. That's all you're taught. Okay? But as you move up, you're taught something else, which is we can do God's work. Okay? God has given us a mission. We must do God's work. Okay? And up here is we don't need God. Okay? The higher you climb, the more secrets you're told. And then as you move up further, you're taught we don't need God. Okay? So, guys, I'm not part of a secret society. I'm just making this up, okay? I'm just showing you how they might work. I'm just speculating. The last layer is we can be God by killing God.
What?
Do you understand?
Nope.
So it's almost like school, right? In primary school, you work hard, you learn a lot. You go to high school. In high school, they teach you everything you learn in primary school is wrong. Let us teach you new knowledge. You work hard, you learn all this new knowledge. You go to university, the professors there are like, everything you learn in high school is wrong. So let's learn something new, okay? And then you go to graduate school and you're taught everything you learn in university is wrong. Okay? So that's how these secret societies work. So the word we use is compartmentalize. So it's a need to know. Okay? Does that make sense? You are only taught what you need to know at your grade. Okay? And as you can see, the secrets get worse and worse as you climb. So how do you maintain secrecy in the system? Okay? So there are two major mechanisms. Okay? The first major mechanism is incentives. Incentives. The idea here is the higher you climb, the more power you have. Okay? So these people in the middle, all they care about is maintaining their privilege. Okay? So does that make sense? Incentives.
A good start, but the rabbit hole is much deeper.
I know that all of our algorithms changed after they pretended that the stupid app was getting banned. But what I noticed with my feed is I was no longer seeing any news content. So I no longer saw videos on the fires. I no longer saw videos on, what do they call, the Dior handbags. Like, there was no news content. There was nothing about what was going on outside. And so I only learned this a couple of days ago, how to get your algorithm back to normal. So I wanted to share, because if I didn't know, then that means there's other people that don't know. So if you go look up Facebook's TikTok page, Instagram's TikTok page, and Meta's TikTok page and block them all, your algorithm will refresh after each block, but it will go back to normal. After I blocked all three, I instantly saw the fires in California. I instantly saw the Dior handbags. Like, my algorithm is back to normal. So I just wanted to share, because I know that people in my comments are saying they're no longer seeing my content anymore. They have to go search for my page, or they're no longer seeing anything that's going on outside, and I wasn't either. So that's what you got to do. You got to block the people that own the servers that we're now on.
I blocked Mera and Oracle, and my FYP page went back to normal.
Can I help you?
Yeah, I need to know whose car that is over there. It's obviously not yours, it's someone else's, and I need to make sure it's not an unauthorized person staying in your house or visiting your house.
Oh my goodness.
If they're authorized to visit our house, and it's also 5 a.m.
It doesn't matter what time it is.
It doesn't.
Listen, you can't have any unauthorized persons staying in your house or visiting past 12 hours. If they do, they have to check in with the HOA, which is
So
me.
that means they would have had to have gotten here at 5 p.m. and they didn't. They got here at like 10 p.m. Now it's 5 a.m. and they're fine. They're an authorized visitor, and you can get off my porch.
No.
You're gonna wake up my kids when you wiggle the door, and I want you to get off my porch. You are so annoying.
Did you change these locks on this door?
Oh, God.
Because I can't get in with this key.
You're
The
not
master
supposed
key.
to get into my house. That's the whole point.
The master key is not working right now. And if you changed it, we're gonna have a lot of problems.
Oh God. Why do HOA have to have a key to your house? I'm not from the US, so this makes zero sense to me.
Imagine that in front of you instead was an invisible pack of cards, Stephen. This is where I changed gears, where years ago I spent hours and hours learning sleight of hand. Pick up the invisible deck, please. Just pretend. Just like that. And I want you to spread them out in front of you. Face down. You can't see them. And Stephen, you close your eyes, you reach down, and here's the part where we can't collude because they're invisible and you don't know what you're about to do, much less me. And I want you to reach down and imagine you just grab a card at random, face down. Do it for me now, please. And stop right there. Freeze. Have I told you what to do at this moment? Have I said anything? Is there any way that you could know what card you just picked in your hand, or I could know, or any of this?
No.
No, this is spontaneous, impulsive, and in the moment. It's the gold standard for what I do. Don't say a word. Look at it. Look at me. Just think. The cards are red. They're black. There's the hearts, the diamonds, the clubs, and the spades. There's the number cards. There's the big cards. Ace, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10, Jack, Queen, King. Close your eyes. That's it. I'm going to take these cards that are next to you. Oops, sorry. And I'd like you to keep your eyes closed if you don't mind. And this is not a card trick, but I want a visual for your audience. Hold your hand out, please. And hold it as if you were holding one card in your hand. Keep your eyes closed. Do not open them. I'm going to place one card in your hand. Close your fingers and freeze right there. Before you open your eyes, tell us, what was that card?
The 3 of diamonds.
Open your eyes. Take a look.
It is very, very difficult for me to understand how you do that.
I've seen enough. Burn the witch.
Hey everybody, I just got off the phone with Kim. I told her to stop antagonizing me with this TikTok thing. I said it's never again. I am her father. I know y'all don't respect fathers and the idea of family, and media tries to promote something. I said I am not allowing my daughter to be used by TikTok, to be used by Disney. I have a say-so. And then when people say, oh, they're going to use this for you in court, I didn't have a say-so on whether or not they went to Sierra Canyon. Most men do not, there's no such thing as 50-50 custody with in society today. That's not even, it always leans towards the mom. But right now, and I'm happy that you guys got to see just a small piece of what I dealt with. You understand what I'm saying?
Kanye is right. This is not okay.
Success is not that they have better generals, it's not that they have better equipment, it's not that they have better strategy or tactics, it's that they have limitless manpower, because their key thing of their policy is we incorporate the conquered people. And the great moment that just exemplifies this is they've gotten down to the toe of Italy, they're conquering the very last cities down there. And one of the last cities is actually a Greek city, it's a Greek colony. It's a wealthy city, and so when the Romans show up on the doorstep and are about to attack them, they do what any rich Greek colony or city does, they go out and hire the best mercenaries they can. And they hire this guy. He has a terrific army, top-notch army. He's got elephants, got all the latest military technology. The Romans come and fight a battle against him, and Pyrrhus knows what he's doing. He wipes out the Romans. He thinks, okay, now we'll have a peace treaty, we'll negotiate something, I can go home. But the Romans won't even talk. They go to their Italian allies and half-citizens, they raise a second army, they send it against Pyrrhus. He fights them again, wipes them out. But the Romans go back to the allies, raise a third army, and send it after Pyrrhus. And when he sees that third army coming, he says, I can't afford to win another battle. So he gives up and goes home. That's the secret to Rome's early success.
Just like the Red Army in the Second World War.
Y'all, did you see that TikTok of the mom who thought her son was nonverbal? And come to find out, the whole time, this little boy was fluent in Japanese. Like, she really thought her baby couldn't talk. He has autism, so she assumed he was nonverbal. But no, this man was just out here speaking full-on Japanese. So apparently, she's in the store one day, and she overhears some Japanese women giving directions, and her son just casually following every single instruction. She's like, hold up, what? So she gets one of the women to actually talk to him, and boom, he's responding perfectly. Not a few words, full conversation. Turns out her son's been fluent this whole time. Fluent in Japanese. Like, ma'am, your child isn't nonverbal. He's just bilingual. Now, my question is, what was he watching on that iPad? Because clearly it wasn't CoComelon. He must have been deep.
Good boy.
This is the richest country in the world. You might find it hard to believe that such a place exists, but it's true. Here, even housekeepers drive Rolls-Royces to the market, while Audis and Mercedes-Benzes are nothing more than ordinary taxis. The entire territory covers only 2 square kilometers, yet this tiny place is home to over 30,000 wealthy residents. On their way home, they pass by Hermes and can casually buy a handbag with the same ease as picking up a bunch of vegetables. Buying yachts here is as common as having dinner. They're docked everywhere, and the largest ones are priceless. Some wealthy residents even park helicopters on their yachts. Real estate prices are sky high. averaging over $50,000 per square meter, making a small apartment here more expensive than a villa in many other countries. Even more remarkable, there's no personal income tax, a policy that has attracted thousands of millionaires and billionaires from around the world. What's more, the crime rate is almost zero, thanks to the highest police density in the world. So which country is this? Yes, the country I'm talking about is Monaco.
And Singapore is rich too.
Have you ever seen a photo of a fox that looks like a straight out of a movie? Well, a couple of months ago, I took this absolutely beautiful shot of one of my favourite animals. It was a really hot summer's evening and I was out for a walk and there was the most golden light ever. And on the other side of this fence, this really inquisitive, beautiful looking fox poked its head out and it was staring straight at me, and I had my camera with me. I was quietly taking some photos, and as I was, the fox started to come even closer, and it was only like 3 or 4 meters away. The most golden evening light was just shining on his beautiful face, and it made for a really dramatic photo with a dark background. So if you'd like to join me on my journey as a 15-year-old wildlife photographer, I'd really appreciate your follow. But here is that photo, and I really hope you enjoy it.
It's beautiful. Wow. Good job, man.
Who's the scariest warrior from history you would never want to go up against? Like, would it be like wild Native American guy from Genghis Khan and not? Who would you be like, this guy's going to kill me and it's going to hurt?
The Vikings. They were the biggest. And they were on mushrooms. Those Iceland guys that win the world's strongest man competition all the time, where do you think that gene line came from? Those were the dudes that were in that boat. And when they pulled up at your shore, everybody just ran.
Can I just nominate someone? Alexander the Great, who led his troops undefeated in battle, never lost, and conquered the known world at that time, took down the mighty Persian Empire.
But if the Vikings were alive back then, they might kill him and his little boyfriend too.
Nah, it's Spartans.
Everything this girl said in this video is 100% true. I remember them telling me the blood was blue in my body too. And they didn't just tell me, they told the whole classroom. I was taught this, the people in my class was taught this, the people in the other class was taught this. Now they're trying to say they never said it? Man, watch out.
I was 100% sure that they taught us that blood was blue inside the body until it hits oxygen and then it turns red. And I just saw a video of a 6th grade teacher talking about why do her 6th graders think that blood is blue. And my first thought was, how do you, as a teacher, not know that blood is blue until it hits oxygen? And then I looked it up, and apparently that was never true. So now I'm wondering, because I could have sworn they taught us this in schools. Like, I don't even know if this is a Mandela effect or if this is just like misinformation.
They are fucking with the system. Y'all let me know what y'all think about this down below in the comments. Was you ever taught this or nah?
This is the first time I'm hearing it.
This video should terrify you. You see, he's part of an experiment and he doesn't know it. And all these other dudes are in on it. You see, he thinks they're taking a test and it looks pretty simple. You're supposed to match the line on the left to the one that's the same on the right. And yo, at first, everybody answers correctly.
On the 3rd trial, something happens. 2.
Now homie knows they're wrong and you can see the look on his face. But check out what he does next.
2. The subject denies the evidence of his own eyes and yields to group influence.
Damn, that's crazy. And you know what's even more crazy? 37% of the people that participated in this experiment would rather be wrong with the crowd than to be right alone. But even if one person stood up, conformity dropped from 37% to only 5%. And you want to know what's really messed up? This wasn't even that deep. It was just lines on a card. Can you imagine what happens when the decisions become even more complex? And everybody thinks that this can't happen to them, but you'd be surprised how easy it is for you to lose your sense of self. And that right there is the most dangerous part about conformity, because you stop being yourself and you start being safe. The minute you stop thinking for yourself, you stop growing. And when you stop growing, you disappear into the crowd.
100% explains woke ideology.
Let's talk about when somebody has the spirit of lust on them. There is a certain look that these people have about them when the spirit of lust is on them. And I'm going to try to describe it the best way that I can. It is all in the eyes. There's like a seduction in the eyes It's like they're seducing you and like inviting you in. Have you ever seen somebody like undress you with their eyes? Or like they're trying to lure you in with their eyes? I guess the best way to describe it would be siren eyes. Now I know in makeup women like to do siren eyes, but there's a difference between somebody with the spirit of lust and then having like siren eyes. So this one right here, that one is kind of like the best, I guess, representation of what I'm talking about, but even that doesn't compare to what I'm saying. Because like you see here, like she can have siren eyes, but that person doesn't have the spirit of lust on them. I know one person in particular who has this spirit on them, and every time I see them, I'm just like, you have the spirit of lust. Like very flirtatious, but also it's a look that they give you. I would show you who they are, but I don't know if they're gonna see this. I've mainly only seen this look from women. I've seen a couple guys have it, but a lot of times it is women. But anybody can have this spirit. It shows up in the same way, through the eyes, and like through the way, like just how they look at you, and how they look at you, and how they like move around you, or just move in general. And I can catch it instantly. It's like, oh, like they have the spirit of lust on them. I don't know if the spirit of lust coincides with sirens, and that's why they almost have that siren-y look in their eyes, and they lure their victims in. I kind of believe that's what it is. One time I was walking at the store and this girl was like, and she turns her head and she has like this, it's like this seductive look that they give. And I was like, immediately I can like see it on them. But anyways, those who have the spirit of lust on them are very flirtatious, a lot of times very promiscuous, and are very out there. So if you can identify that spirit on them, pray to God for discernment, pray to God to open your eyes, because you want to stay away from those people, because they lure you in, and when they get you, they snatch and attach to you, and then they ensnare you in their trap. And you do not want to get caught in their trap, because it will be an endless game of push and pull, trying to leave and being drawn back. I'm telling you, it has to be a siren spirit because of the correlation and the similarities between the two. Be aware and alert in this world, because there are spirits lurking everywhere. Remember, we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against evil spirits, principalities of dark places. So stay guarded, stay prayerful, and keep God first place in your life.
I have the Holy Spirit.
I watched this movie recently. It's called Heretic. It made me think so much about control. Okay. Because the whole movie was about this guy that he trapped these two Mormon girls knocking on his door. Okay. And they wanted to preach about the religion, right? Yeah. So they walk in. He's trying to persuade them to play a part of his game that he set up in his house. Door locks. Yeah. And they're stuck there. And he's debating about religion to them. The plot twist was, though, he knew that they were Mormon girls. He knew that they were gonna come. All he wanted to do was experiment and test their beliefs and their faith. He was like setting up trapdoors, putting them into a room with a whole bunch of books, like a library. The fuck? And explaining all these different religions and why yours might not be right and what the true religion is. And he never explained what the true religion is until the very, very end. One of the craziest shits he did, he stood in the middle of two doors. Of two doors, right? And then he wrote on the door belief and disbelief on the other door. Yeah. And he said, based on what you believe, you can walk through the door and that's how you escape and that's how you get out. You're free to go. And then one girl, do we go disbelief because he's testing us? And the other girl goes, no. Because if we do that, then we're playing on his game. We can't do that. Oh my God. We have to still stick to our beliefs and show that we still have faith. So they decide to go through the belief door. And it takes them down a tunnel into a circle. And what's so crazy? The tunnel connected to the other door anyway. Oh. So it's disbelief and belief brought them to the same place. And it was just like a dark circle with a table and a chair. And then what he says on the speakerphone, he had like a speakerphone in there. I'm gonna make you guys witness a miracle, and I'm gonna tell you what the true religion is. Okay, what was it? I'm gonna send in a prophet, and you're gonna see why she is. This old woman walks in and sits at the table. She's bringing in a poisonous pie, and he says there's poison in there. When she eats it, she's gonna die, but you're gonna see she'll come back to life. The woman comes in, eats the pie.
Religions are bad. What you need to have is a relationship with Jesus Christ.
They actually removed copper doors and copper door handles in the 1900s. And this is because the copper was antibacterial. an antiviral, and they would stop diseases from spreading and bacteria from spreading. That's why all the hospitals in the 18 and 1900s used to have copper door handles and brass door handles. Because if anybody came in with an infection and they then had to use cutlery or door handles, they weren't going to be passing on that infection to other people. Just like the linen sheets again, which would prevent the bacteria from spreading, because we know linen is the only fabric that is antibacterial. They'd also use silver door handles because these are also antibacterial and antiviral. And they were also drinking out of copper and silver cups because, again, those copper cups were structuring the water in the cups, and they were also preventing that bacteria from being spread from person to person. But now in hospitals we see plastic cups and stainless steel door handles because the Rockefellers noticed that contagious diseases and illnesses were almost non-existent, and they noticed their profits weren't increasing, similar to these copper water fountains we used to see everywhere, where the water would stay clean and pure for days because of the copper. And then, would you guess, they removed them as well because they didn't want people having that benefit of copper.
They removed bells too for this reason.
Well, of course it is. This thing is hundreds of years old. And would you be shocked if I said thousands? At this point, these narratives are extremely sketchy. We have a fire story all over the world. Not every house on the block goes up in flames, but every single one of these old world buildings pretty much do. You have to ask, is that mathematically possible? No, it isn't. The fire is the symbolism, the hidden key to the past civilization. Now here, as I visit this building, it was under construction, that these buildings need to be fully restored, and that they may be removing something from the building. I have shown comparisons between the old world and the new world construction on the same building many times before. Our restoration completely ruins the building nearly every time. It doesn't help it. So here they have given us a 5-phase construction process that's going on right now. I tried to go inside the basilica and the man would not let me in, which I thought was very interesting. Now, right outside, I couldn't believe my eyes. I looked down, and our ridiculous construction is crumbling away, of course, and exposing the ancient hidden brick roads. And what is this? Do we have a play on words? Of course we do. An admission that this building is older than 300 years old. When they tell us that it has gone through many changes in its 300 plus years. 300 plus years? Yeah, plus 1,000 years. There hasn't been any changes to this building.
This video confirms more than you may think. It's going viral on Twitter. It's water gushing out of a tree these guys have started to cut down. However, we have a lot to unpack here. I promise you, if you stick through this video, you'll be freaking shocked at the end of it. So the obvious thing is, okay, we shouldn't be cutting down this tree. Duh, how big is it? How old is it? Is it 1,000 years? Is it 500 years? It's not 6,000 years. It's not older than 6,000, rather, I should say. We should talk about the age of the earth in another video. The next thing, though, is I've seen them cut down massive oaks and other trees in North America and water gush out of the stump. And the comments was like, well, maybe there's just like a spring there, or maybe the tree like wrapped up around a water line that was like leaking and now it's gushing out. This is a lot more serious. This is so incredibly shocking. For one, I hope these guys left the tree alone, patched it up, put some clay in there. Hopefully the tree heals itself. Like, look how massive this freaking tree is. But do you remember seeing tabletop mountains in Peru, South America, all over the place, tabletop mountains that have a waterfall constantly flowing? And I'm not talking about an ice-capped mountain. Ice-capped mountains with waterfalls, we know it's snow melt, yes. But check this out. So have a look at this. We have a tree stump, and we have perhaps an ancient gigantic tree stump as described in many different ancient texts. Notice the waterfalls pouring off of this tree stump. We're talking about a flat plateau. There's no lake up there. Is it that the roots of this tree, when it was anciently still alive and connected, I mean, the ancients believe that even rocks are alive, so that would make sense if rocks are remnants of ancient trees anyway. But I'm talking the roots of this silicon-based tree tapped into the water supply. When it got cut, this is what's said in the Bible, the angels came and cut the trees down so the Nephilim couldn't climb the trees and survive the flood because they were cannibalistic and everything. Cut the tree, and the waterfalls are still flowing out of it. We may have cracked the code. Let me know your thought. And hopefully this tree survives and they patch it up. That's what I'm talking about, man. Leave it standing. Come on.
Yep. It always makes me sad to see all trees cut down, whatever the reason.
These signs should never be ignored when visiting a cemetery. First, never greet the dead with the word hello. That word is meant for the living. The dead cannot answer, and spirits may take offense and start seeking revenge. Second, never eat anything that has grown on cemetery soil. It belongs to the dead, and if you take it, spirits may come to you in dreams or visions, demanding what's theirs. Third, never go to the cemetery with your hair down. Loose
What?
hair is believed to attract entities that can attach themselves to it and slowly drain your life energy. Fourth, never walk straight home after visiting a cemetery. You must stop somewhere first. A store, a cafe, anywhere, to leave the energy of death behind. Fifth, never raise or move crosses in the cemetery, and never call upon someone else's sorrow. Doing so invites darkness into your life. Sixth, never leave your personal belongings behind. If you do, they'll belong to the dead now, and they'll take a piece of your soul with them. Seventh, never clean someone else's grave. You're entering a space where you are not welcome. And finally, never visit the cemetery on the birthday of the deceased. It's believed that on that day, the dead demand a gift, and they may take a living soul instead. Tell me, did you know about these rules? Write it in the comments. I read every single one. And subscribe to me so you don't miss the next creepy story.
Once you are dead, you're dead.
Do you know that they took away my passport out of the blue? Just took away my passport. First, they said my passport, that I had some child support things, and I was like, that's some BS. Took 4 months to argue that I had no passport issues with child support. Then it's like, oh, it's your taxes. It's you owe taxes, so we're going to take away your passport. Why? So I couldn't go to Dubai. Why? So I couldn't go and get this stuff financed. Ooh. It's all the suppression. And I'm like, okay. So after I'm done here today, when I get home, I'm going to put online the equations necessary to have a thing called unlimited energy, to be able to pull energy directly from the flux, just to say fuck you to the world. I'm going to show them how to pull energy directly from the flux.
Be careful,
your thoughts
bro.
when you're listening to him.
Yes, I have to be careful. Alex Weinstein, I consider my peers, right? I respect his intelligence, but I do believe his geometric unity theory is heading wrong direction.
It's wrong because it should have been finite. He needs a finite space in order for it to work. His fiber bundles don't work. Its entire hop vibration disappears because gauge theory becomes redundant once you introduce Lynchpian geometry into it. That was one of the things I tried to share with him that he refused to look at. First, I sent him a paper on how the linchpin helped with the hop vibration and how the linchpin could help in gauge theory. And then I had to rewrite the paper and show him how the linchpin makes all of that redundant. He didn't respond. It's sitting there in this thing. He hasn't responded. That's the thing I told you to send over to Brian, because I'm like, let's go to war.
He's very intelligent. Some people are mocking him because it's beyond their level of perception.
A North African bishop named Athanasius was translating scripture when he found something that made him stop cold. He immediately wrote to fellow church leaders, "I have discovered why so many believers remain in bondage. There is a verse, a single sentence, that functions as a legal eviction notice against the enemy. But he has convinced the church it is merely good advice." He continued, "This is not a suggestion. It is a courtroom decree. And the moment a believer prays it with understanding, every accusation Satan holds collapses. No. The enemy flees not when we beg, but when we enforce. Most Christians have read this verse 100 times and never realized they were holding a loaded weapon. The devil doesn't want you to know this is more than scripture. It's a legal summons. Because the moment you speak it correctly, every claim he's held over you becomes null and void. If the enemy feels like he has a legal right to torment you, if shame feels like a chain you can't break, this will set you free. The verse is James 4:7. Submit yourselves therefore to God. Resist the devil, and he will flee from you. But Athanasius didn't read it in English. He read it in Greek. And what he found was a precise 3-step legal sequence, a courtroom eviction order with the force of law. Step 1. Submit yourselves to God. Hupotasso, a military term that means to arrange yourself in rank under a superior officer, to take your position in formation. This isn't passive surrender. You're stepping into combat formation under the king's direct authority. When you submit to God, you're legally repositioning yourself under his jurisdiction, and the enemy cannot touch what belongs to the king. Step 2. Resist the devil. Antistemi. It means to stand against with legal authority, to oppose in a court of law. This isn't a fist fight. This is a legal confrontation. You're not trying to overpower him. You're presenting him with the signed verdict from Calvary. You're showing him the blood of Jesus as irrefutable evidence that his claim has been revoked. Step 3. And he will flee from you. Fugo, it means to run in terror. To flee as from a legal prosecution, you cannot escape. This is a criminal fleeing a warrant. When you pray this verse with understanding, you're not begging Satan to leave. You're presenting him with a legal summons he cannot contest. He has no choice but to flee. The three-step legal process. You step into the king's authority. You stand against the enemy's claims with the blood of Jesus as evidence. Satan flees because the case is closed. You're not fighting for victory. You're enforcing the victory Jesus already won.
Amen.
So the next time the enemy comes with accusation or shame, don't argue, don't beg. Say this: I submit to God. I step under his authority. I resist you, devil. I present the blood of Jesus. Your claim is revoked. You must flee, in Jesus' name. And watch what happens. He flees. Not because you're strong. Because the case is closed. You don't fight for victory. You enforce it. You're not trying to win a case. Jesus already won. You're not hoping the devil leaves. You're ordering him to, with the full legal weight of Calvary behind you. If this just broke your chains, type, I submit to God. I resist the devil, in the comments. Not for the algorithm, for your freedom. Because the moment you declare it, chains shatter. You are a legal threat to the kingdom of darkness. Subscribe and join us. This is the King's Ministries.
I submit to God and I resist the devil.
These higher elites drink human blood to get high, and just how can stimulate you and make you feel on top of the world. Drinking human blood could give you a greater feeling. In particular, they want the human blood from children in fear. And I will try to explain the science behind that briefly. Now, as a child, your blood is more pure, but if they can instill fear in you before they kill you, all that adrenaline that comes from the fear, it ends up in the blood that they take from you.
For entertainment purposes only, before they start with the strikes. However, let me hit you with two cases, absolutely creepy. Type in the name Miyazaki. He's from Japan and it happened in 1988. This guy abducted loads of young girls, mutilated them, and police confirmed that he drank the blood of one of the victims. Type in Marcelo Costa de Andre from Brazil. This man killed many young boys and admitted to drinking the blood of the victims. So before anyone says misinformation, ask yourself, what do you think the most evil and wickedest people on the planet do?
If you think this is fake, then you don't know how cruel the world really is.
Pick your favorite date for the fall of the Roman Empire. 476 is a very common one. And what happens in that year is a barbarian king comes down into Italy and deposes a guy named Romulus Augustulus, which is an amazing name. So some people say that's the end of the Roman Empire. Sure. But others say it's 410 when Alaric sacks Rome for the first time. Others say it's 455 when the Vandals come and sack Rome and do a much more thorough job of it this time. Some say it's 180 when Marcus Aurelius picks poorly in succession. Some say it's 31 when Octavian wins the Battle of Actium and kills the Roman Republic. Or you can go past that date and say it's 1453 when the Eastern Roman Empire finally falls. And I mean, the Eastern Empire is legitimately the Roman Empire. If you would go and ask them, who are you? They wouldn't say, we're the Byzantines, we're the Eastern Roman Empire. They would just say, we're the Romans. And they have a completely legitimate claim to do that. So this whole game of when does the empire fall is problematic.
It hasn't fallen, it just evolved. The Catholic Church is still a big empire.
Skinwalker was spotted at night on one of the streets of the USA, and what you will now see on your screens will make your blood freeze in your vein. First, let me explain what is Skinwalker. Then I will already turn on the video. Skinwalker is a sinister entity who can turn into wolves, animals, cats, and
look at the cat.
But sometimes they can also turn into a human. As you see in this video, usually if you see them, you're already dead. Officially, you are already dead. They can take the look and voice of your loved ones to deceive you and take over you. And now I will show you this video. Watch it till the end and tell me what you would do if you saw this. And if you like everything paranormal, don't forget to follow me. I have more of this in my profile. And remember, if one day you start doubting one of your loved ones, run. Because if you don't run, believe me, you are already officially dead. Well, before I show you the video, don't forget to follow. So, 3, 2, 1.
Is that a guy or a girl? Okay, so who was behind the camera? Skinwalker's a friend or something?
He knew where the entrance to the Great Pyramid was. He figured there's an entrance to this thing. It's going to be in the north face somewhere. So he put together a team of workers, and they went in with sledgehammers, and they started smashing where he thought would be the entrance. And they cut their way into the Great Pyramid for a distance of maybe 100 feet. And then the hammering that they did dislodged something. They heard a little bit further away something big falling, and they realized there was a cavity there. And they started heading in that direction, and then they joined the internal passageway of the Great Pyramid, the descending and the ascending corridors that go up. When you go up the ascending corridor, every one of the internal passageways in the Great Pyramid that people can walk in slopes at an angle of 26 degrees. That's interesting because the angle of slope of the exterior of the Great Pyramid is 52 degrees. So we know mathematicians were at work as well as geometers in the creation of the Great Pyramid. If you go up the Grand Gallery, which is at the end of the so-called ascending corridor, you're eventually going to come to what is known as the King's Chamber, in which there is a sarcophagus. And that sarcophagus is a little bit too big to have been got in through the narrow entrance passageway. It's almost as though the so-called King's Chamber was built around the sarcophagus already in place.
And one of the secrets of Rome's success is that they're very good at integrating non-Romans or non-Roman ideas and kind of absorbing them. One of the things that's absolutely crucial early in Roman history, when they're just one of these tiny little mud hut villages fighting dozens of other mud hut villages in Italy, why does Rome emerge as the dominant one? Well, one of the things they do is when they do finally succeed in conquering somebody else, let's say another Italianate people, they do something very unusual, because the normal procedure in the ancient world is you conquer another city. You often kill most of the men, enslave the women and children, steal all the stuff, right? The Romans, at least with the Italians, conquer the other city, and sometimes they'll do that, but sometimes they'll also then say, all right, we're going to now leave you alone, and we're going to share with you a degree of Roman citizenship. Sometimes they'd make them full citizens, more often they'd make them something we call half citizens. Sometimes they would just make them allies, but they would sort of incorporate them into the Roman project. And they wouldn't necessarily ask for money or taxes, which is weird too, but instead, the one thing they would always demand from the conquered cities in Italy is that they provide troops to the Roman army. So the army becomes this mechanism of Romanization, where you pull in foreigners, you make them like you, and then they end up fighting for you.
So just like the Americans.
Hip-hop gangster rap being orchestrated by record companies for the benefit of private prisons. And this is really, I would argue, part of a much larger scandal here, because if you're familiar with Gary Webb in the Dark Alliance about crack cocaine exploding involving CIA and the Iran-Contra network, you have weapons flooding these areas, you have drugs flooding these areas. Why is that significant? Well, the Promise Software scandal I mentioned earlier is very complex again, but one of the main players in that is Wackenhut. And another one of the main players in that is MCA, the Music Corporation of America. Basically, its subsequent iterations come to dominate hip-hop in that period. And Wackenhut, which is now Geo Group, is was then and still is now one of the main private prison companies in the U.S. And then Clinton passes the crime bill that, in 1994 that basically makes all of these things offenses and makes it much easier to fill the prisons. And what are some of the companies that end up using prison labor around this time? Well, Leslie Wexner's Victoria's Secret is one. And another company that I believe still uses it is General Dynamics, which is Lester Crown's company. Lester Crown being one of the mega group guys. Some of the biggest corporations in the world. One of them is Walmart, which has long-standing ties to the Clinton family, the Waltons. It's free slave labor.
Free slave labor, yeah.
Ice Cube said the same thing about prisons and music labels.
Things about Russia that shock Americans. Number one, in Russia, you're considered too old to give birth after 26 years old. If you're pregnant in Russia and you're older than 26, you are gonna go to specific testing. It is literally called old birth, like старородящая, old woman who is giving birth. Number two, in Russia, there is no GMO. GMO products are illegal in Russia. Number three, Russia does not allow any amount of alcohol to drive. Even if you took medicine that contains a little bit, 0.0001 of alcohol, you cannot drive. drive. Next, in Russia, if you're driving without camera and police officer stops you and you don't have a dash camera and police officer does not have a dash camera and police officer doesn't show you the video where you breaking the rule, you can go. You literally can be like, okay, officer, thanks, bye. Next is all cities in Russia equipped with street cameras. Every single street, everywhere, there will be cameras. And if you break the law, immediately you will receive a fine that is shown in your bank account. In Russia, your bank account is everything. You can pay your house bills, electricity bills, water bills. You can pay your fines when you're driving through this app. The last one, in Russia, you cannot buy energy drink if you are younger than 18 years old. Energy drinks are considered almost like alcohol by the way they're impacting your brain. So if you're 16, you cannot drink Red Bull.
I need to go to Russia. This makes sense.
There's one billionaire you should probably be paying attention to. No, it's not Elon Musk, Peter Thiel, Donald Trump, Mark Zuckerberg, Jeff Bezos, or even Sam Altman, or any of these people who are involved in various love triangles with one another. And that billionaire is a guy named Larry Ellison. You may or may not have heard of him. He's the owner of Oracle, which is one of the largest cloud storage and software companies in the world. Last week, Larry Ellison surpassed Elon Musk as the richest man in the world after it was announced that his company Oracle would be making a $300 billion deal with OpenAI. Believe it or not, that's not even why we should be concerned. Larry Ellison's son has also been in the news recently for a merger that took place between his company Skydance and Paramount. David Ellison now owns and controls Paramount. Paramount controls a plethora of media and cable networks, including CBS News, Paramount Plus, MTV, Nickelodeon, Showtime, and plenty more. Meaning that David Ellison is now in charge of distributing the media and entertainment that millions of people will be consuming. Last week, it was reported that David Ellison is considering bringing on board Bari Weiss, who is the founder of the publication called The Free Press. And let's all pretend to be shocked. She is extremely pro-Israel. Do me a favor and feign shock just one more time for me. David is considering appointing Bari Weiss the president or editor-in-chief of the CBS News division. Larry Ellison is also in hot pursuit of TikTok, and if a deal goes through between Ellison, China, and Trump, Ellison's company Oracle could be the new owner of TikTok. I think it goes without saying that this is an extremely powerful family. I'd say arguably the most powerful family who is shaping a lot of media discourse right now. If you look at all the interconnected elements between Paramount, CBS, TikTok, OpenAI, and ChatGPT, you begin to notice a centralization of power around this one family. I would watch out for this one billionaire who is now the richest man alive, as well as his son David, because I don't believe as many people know who he is compared to the other guys. And this family is about to have a lot of influence over the media landscape, what we consume as people, and what does and does not get censored on the internet. Comment below and let me know if you already knew who the Ellison family was, and if you were aware of all the different companies that they own in the media.
Something big is coming, folks. They are placing people in positions.
They look like tired travelers waiting for a flight. But take a closer look. These people are actually homeless.
Well, since right now I'm completely broke, so I'm not going anywhere, just going hiding different parts of the airport.
Rebecca has lived here with her adult son and cat for almost a year. She says the airport is safer than the streets and overcrowded shelters.
I left Phoenix with $15,000. It goes quick.
The job and apartment she had lined up both fell through. Then she lost $3,500 in a rental scam. Broke, she landed at the airport, homeless. She uses the Wi-Fi at the airport to apply for jobs. She did get a job, ironically, here at the airport, doing what she did in Phoenix, pushing passengers in wheelchairs, but was fired a week later. She believes the company found out she was homeless. Since January, she has been living at a long-term hotel where she can now cook, shower, and finally sleep in a...
Good for you, lady. You know, in Indonesia, you cannot even enter an airport unless you have a flight ticket.
Everyone always talking about how wise King Solomon was, but no one ever talks about the woman who quite literally outsmarted him and ran away with God. Yeah, this is in the Ethiopian Bible, but they won't teach you this in Sunday school. So Queen Makeda of Sheba, right? She was rich, she was powerful, she was a boss-ass bitch. She decided she was going to go see what King Solomon was all about because apparently she was immune to male nonsense. So she went up to him with a caravan of spices and golds and everything. And she was like, hey, if your God is so great, why does he not show himself? And King Solomon was like, I bet, I got you. So they trade riddles and they go back and forth to the point where Queen Sheba was starting to believe in God. Now, when Queen Sheba showed up, she had told him from the jump, look, we won't be doing the hanky-panky or anything like that, okay? I'm just here to find out about your God. And King Solomon was like, that's fine, just don't take anything from my palace. And she was like, yeah, no problem, right? So then they go to dinner, and they have one of the spiciest dinners ever. King Solomon knew what he was doing, right? So then he put some water beside her bed, and when she wakes up in the middle of the night, she's so thirsty, so she drinks the water. Out steps King Solomon from the shadows, and he's like, hey, I told you not to take anything from my palace. Now I got to take something from you. So boom, Menelik is born. Now fast forward, Menelik shows up in Judea and King Solomon is taken back by him. He looks identical to him and he decides, you know what, you can have my throne. Take it. And Menelik's like, no, I'm good. I just wanted to come and meet my dad, right? Well, Menelik had brought a squad with him. This squad decided we're going to leave with something. They took the Ark of the Covenant. Yeah, what holds the 10 Commandments and the essence of God, they were like, this is ours, we're leaving with it. It's going back to Ethiopia. God apparently was on their side because a pillar of fire came down onto the ark and followed them all the way to Ethiopia. Anyways, they had the ark in Axum, Ethiopia, and there's only one monk allowed to see this ark at a time, and it's a lifetime job. So he gets the job and then he dies on the job. Following the ark a little bit more, in the 1980s, the CIA decided we want to see where it's at. So they had a remote viewer drop in on it, and it's a wild story, but we'll talk about that next time.
This woman cut babies out of pregnant women's stomachs, killed the mothers, sold the organs, and then sold the babies for $14,000. You're looking right now at the face of the literal devil. This woman's name is La Diabla, and she was recently arrested based on United States intelligence reports. Her real name is Martha Alicia Mendez Aguiar, and she was the leader of this organ harvesting baby trafficking network that was associated with the CJNG, the Jalisco New Generation Cartel, one of the most powerful cartels in Mexico and on Earth. So according to reporting, this woman La Diabla and the associated people in her network, they would lure pregnant women out to remote, sometimes abandoned locations in Mexico, and once the women were there, they would be taken by force. I don't know exactly what happened there. Maybe they were drugged, maybe something else happened, but eventually those pregnant women would be laid down on some sort of a flat surface, and the individuals from this cartel would then cut the babies out of these pregnant women's stomachs after performing illegal C-sections on them. And then, after the pregnant woman was dead, this woman, La Diabla, and her friends would cut the organs out of her body and sell them on the black market. Now, these babies reportedly went for up to 250,000 pesos, or around 14,000 US dollars. And some of these babies actually ended up being sold to people here in America. Now, reporting on what I report on all the time, I don't even want to think about what these babies could have been used for, or what kind of sick individuals would have purchased a baby from somebody like this. I mean, if you're associating with someone like La Diabla, you're probably not a good person in the first place. And it's just such a chilling thought to me, what happened to those babies that were removed from their mother's stomachs. In my opinion, they should continue arresting people. I don't know why in stories like this, they'll usually arrest somebody like La Diabla, but then the people who purchased the babies will never be identified, never charged with any crime. I say in a case like this, they aggressively pursue justice and aggressively hunt down each and every one of the people who purchased a baby from a woman like this or her organization. If you want to join me on my journey to expose child predators like this, please consider checking out my show, The Conspiracy Files. You can subscribe on YouTube, or the show is available on all streaming platforms like Spotify and Apple Podcasts.
Even Satan is shocked.
Check this horse out. Something was bigger back then, you know? Horses seem to be very, very large. That horse is massive. And that's the other weird thing. What happened to make us tinier? You think of these gigantic horses. Look at these things. They're just a beauty. Absolutely.
There's a different breed of horses. They're still around.
Rome starts to go downhill as you enter the 3rd century. And a lot of it becomes that the secret is out, that what makes an emperor is who commands the most swords. And so you start to get rebellions by various Roman generals, each declaring himself emperor. You sometimes get 3 or 4 generals in different parts of the empire all declaring themselves emperor, and then they all rush off to Rome to fight a multi-way civil war. And of course, while they're doing this, the borders are undefended, so barbarians start to see opportunity and come across and start raiding. They start burning and pillaging farms. The civil wars are destroying cities and farms, so the economy is kind of tanking. Then there's less money coming in as taxes, so when one guy finally wins, he jacks up the tax rate to try and make up for it, but now there's fewer people able to pay, and it's all just a vicious cycle.
Invented inflation.
And you get horrific inflation uncontrolled. So, you know, the economy goes downhill, barbarians are raiding, you have internal instability. In 1 year, you have something like 8 or 9 different guys go through as emperor in 238. So it's a mess. And it looks like the Roman Empire is going to fall in around the mid-3rd century. So this is the crisis.
So this boy had actually been shot up his butt. The bullets tore through all of his insides, all of his internal organs, through his spinal cord, paralyzing him. I think he had also had some type of head injury because he was still in a coma. By the time I started rounding on him, he had never woken up. He was just in a coma in his room, recovering from all these massive surgeries. And every day I would go in at like 4:30 in the morning. I'd still say, "Hello, good morning, this is Dr. Nance," just in case he was ever, you know, up and awake. And I would change his bandages. I would tell him things like, "We're taking really good care of you." And then I would go about, you know, my day finishing rounds and operating the rest of the day. So one afternoon, I get like a 911 page from one of the nurses on the floor to come to this patient's room. And I run up. I didn't know what was going on. And when I entered the room, it was chaos. The boy is screaming, cursing. "No one's telling me what's going on. What's going on?" Trying to pull all his lines out. He's got 2 nurses trying to hold his arms down. Another nurse is trying to turn off all the bells and the alarms that are going off.
He assembled an army of 1 million men at Arbela. This army was an enormous army. They said it was so huge that at night the campfires spread east and west and over the horizon as far as the eye could see. It is estimated by various historians, and there's something like 400 historical accounts of this battle, because it was one of the most important battles in human civilization. It literally was a pivotal battle in the history of the Western world. He believed that he could not be killed, and so he always was in front. He wore white armor, he had a white plume, rode a huge black horse, and if you wanted to know where the battle was where the man on the black horse was. It was always where Alexander was. He said, "Follow me, let's go kill Darius." And he threw his army with himself at the beginning like a spear into the center of the Persian army. Just like a spear, and he said, "Follow me," and they charged and went straight for Darius. Now, of course, Darius had never anticipated that something like this would happen. He said, "What on earth is going on?" They said, "Well, he's coming right for you, sir." He said, "Well, stop him." They said, "Well, sir, we're trying to stop him, but we hadn't anticipated that he would actually initiate an attack or an offensive attack against our forces." Now, this is a brilliant attack, by the way, brilliant strategy, because in this sort of strategy, the only part of Darius's army, the whole Persian army that could fight against Alexander, was this part here, was the part that is directly facing Alexander. All the rest of the army was useless because there was no one for them to fight against. And not only that, Darius could not be giving commands to the rest of the army to move forward as long as he was facing a direct assault on his own encampment. And Darius finally said, "Well," he said, "if this is the way it's going to be," he said, "I think I'll go back to the palace for lunch, and you guys can stay here and fight with them." And he jumped in his chariot with his battle flags waving, and he drove off the field of battle. Now, around him were his vice presidents, if you like, his generals, and they said, "Well, sire, we don't want you to do lunch alone. We'll come with you." And they jumped into their chariots, and they got the hell out, too. Now, the first two was that from everything they'd heard about Alexander, he never lost the battle, and anybody that fought against Alexander lost. And it was a terrible way to end your day. He said, number two is that Darius is fleeing the scene of battle. Alexander never loses, Darius is fleeing. What could that possibly add up to? It could add up to that, believe it or not, we must have lost. If we have lost, then we, had better get the heck out of here. At the end of the day, the Persians had lost 400,000 dead. It was one of the most incredible and disastrous battles in all of human history. The Macedonians, under Alexander, lost 1,247 men, and Alexander, at the age of 22, was the undisputed master of the entire world.
So I just talked to a man who solicits homeless women. He looks for them. He says he looks for the most vulnerable, although he didn't say the most vulnerable, he just said the most out of it. So I think that might be a kink. He offers them something small, usually $5 to $10 worth of something, usually drugs. They go in his car or they go back to his home and they do their thing.
Oh,
now,
man.
He gets their consent, but they're also chemically compromised and or desperate for the next hit because they're in the middle of their addiction. So then the question becomes, is this actually consensual? Because even if she used the words, nodded, said yes, if she's under great duress and feels like she has no other choice, is that considered consensual? Because that's the kind of stuff I see every day. In fact, the women look forward to these cars pulling over because they know they're going to make a quick $5 or $10. The fact is, this is just the brutal reality of the streets.
What is this?
Consensual or not, trafficking, solicitation is extremely common out here. Now, $5 or $10 isn't a lot for most people, but to them it is everything, because sometimes it takes them an entire day to hustle that much just to get their fix so they don't go through that severe withdrawal. And this is just a brutal reality of the streets.
Wow. God help those people.
It happened again. It happened again, y'all. I have felt... I'm sorry, I'm laughing because, like, I fell down another rabbit hole. Like, okay, so I saw a video of this guy, right? And he's called the London Spy here on TikTok. And he went to, like, I think it's an old cathedral in London. And he saw this, like, there's two faces on there that look identical to Putin and Trump. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I mean, you know, maybe it's just someone who looked like him. Cool, I guess. Then he starts walking down Trump Street. And at the end, it's Russia Row. Okay, I'm gonna tie this all together. So in 1888, did you know that in 1888, Baron Trump was written about in a book called The Grand Adventures, The Marvelous Adventures of Baron Trump, something like that. Guys, I can't make this up. So, mind you, 1888. Oh yeah, I'm whispering because my baby is asleep. For those of y'all that are like, why are you whispering in your own house? You're crazy. Not too much. So anyway, yeah, 10-year-old boy Baron in the book and has a mentor named Don. And Don has a mentor named Pence. Okay, so they travel to Russia trying to study time travel and like this really big hole in the ground that is a portal to another universe. Fast forward to the third book of the series. It's called The Last President, where Don becomes the last president. Do y'all remember when the Orange Man, I'm not gonna say his name, I don't want to be censored. Do y'all remember when the Orange Man was like, oh guys, you only have to vote for me one more time. After this term, you won't have to worry about voting anymore. What do you mean by that? At this point in the book, after Don becomes the last president, people revolt because they feel like he's more of a businessman than a politician. A little too accurate. This is all going to be even freaking crazier. The person that wrote this book was Ingersoll Lockwood. His name was Ingersoll Lockwood. He lived at the same time in the same area of New York as a man named Nikola Tesla that studied time travel. Nikola Tesla had years and years and years of his life that he dedicated to studying time travel. And when he croaked, all of his research on time travel went to the Orange Man's uncle, John Trump. What? What are the chances? Guys, listen, there's a lot of things that I'll go down. There's a lot of things I'll believe, but I don't know about time travel. I just can't get into that. I can't get into time travel. But this is weird, guys. This is crazy. This is strange. I don't know. It's 11 p.m. I'm probably going to be up until like 4 a.m. researching this. So I will be back with updates tomorrow. Oh yeah, don't forget to like and follow. If you're crazy like me, you have found your people, and comment down below what else y'all want to get into.
Please go watch Back to the Future. Donald Trump is beef.